Week 3 of the NFL season wraps up with an MVP showdown. We will be predicting Week 4's top dogs, and we have all the NFL news, that and more in 20 seconds. Hey, fellow fanatics, welcome to the Average Pros Fantasy Show, sponsored by Football Darts and Fantasy Sports Alliance. First, we want to thank our sponsor, our broadcast sponsor, Football Darts. Football Darts is a dart game that combines the skill of traditional darts with the strategy of American football. This innovative dart game is played on a uniquely designed multiple target dartboard. Unlike traditional British darts, American football darts is a game that combines both the skill of darts and the strategies of football. It can be played in sports bars, at tailgate events, as league tournaments, and as a leisure activity in the comfort of your own home. If you'd like to check out their officially licensed collegiate dartboards, go to footballdarts.com. And they say an empty wagon makes a lot of noise. Listen to our partners, Josh, Eric, and Brad, talk fantasy football on their podcast, the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. They are your one-stop shop for all of your fantasy football information and news. The guys talk rankings, projections, and a whole lot more with a ton of comedy. Make sure you go over and give them a download and listen. You can find them on the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast on Anchor at anchor.fm. Go there, like, subscribe, and give them a listen. You can check them out on their social media at EmptyWagonFF. And then if you like our show tonight, please go out, like, share, and subscribe to us. All of our social media can be found below right here-ish now. Here-ish now. There we go. There it is. But speaking of which, let's get into it. Josh, how was your week?
Terrible.
Terrible?
Terrible.
How'd you do?
It's terrible because I went 0-3, all three of my leagues. It's not looking so good.
Well, I personally went 4-1 across my 5 leagues, losing my most near and dear to my heart, unfortunately. But with that being said, outside of that loss, let's get into our Week 3 winners and losers. Who'd you have for your first one there?
All right, so my first winner is going to be Russell Wilson. Putting up a MVP caliber performance with 43.3 points, 315 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I sat back and I watched that game, and I was actually contemplating wearing his jersey tonight just because of that type of performance. He's on pace, I believe it is, for 74 touchdowns and 5 interceptions throughout the season, which would absolutely obliterate the 55 touchdown record currently held.
He's not doing it.
For me, you don't think he's doing it?
No, he's not doing it.
I don't think so either. But I think regardless, whatever he ends up doing is going to be overshadowed by my Week 3 winner, Josh Allen. Absolutely putting on a clinic both through the air and using his legs. 36.24 points within FSA and MFL scoring. It's just a delight to see him actually have a new target downfield in Stephon Diggs, to open up, especially with Brown getting hurt this week, across from him. But, everything they throw at him, every player that goes down and gets hurt, they come back and he, finds a way to, squeak out a win. And, I love to see this guy play. Unfortunately, I hate to see him play in my division, but got to roll with the punches, I guess. And speaking of punches, who do you got as your loser?
Going on my first loser. Oh, by the way, it's taking everything out of him to praise Josh Allen, but
no, I'm actually a Josh Allen fan. I've been giving him high praise. I mean,
yes, you like him as a player. You like him as a player,
yeah,
but when it comes to his team. When it comes to the team overall,
I mean, he's the best. He's on the best team in New York, so I mean that's gotta
In
say
New York.
something.
Let's take a step back. How about AFC East?
I wouldn't go that far, bud.
I think 3-0 would say otherwise.
He's played garbage.
Wait, he is 3-0 still, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay, good. All right. My first loser I have is Daniel Jones, only putting up 7 points, 179 yards with no touchdowns and 1 interception.
Yeah. Like I said, Josh Allen plays on the best team in New York. The other two teams are at the bottom of the barrel as a league as a whole, and it's just sad to see the type of play that they have with the caliber of players that they've been trying to bring in. I know that obviously not having a run game hurts Daniel Jones, not being able to set up anything, not really being able to incorporate the play action or anything like that. But regardless, yes, Jets do suck. I do agree with you there. At the bottom of the barrel, right next to the Giants. For me, my top loser of the week was Mitchell Trubisky, having a subpar 12 points this week, but then getting benched for the probably the best backup I've ever seen play in Nick Foles. Can't get it done as a starter, but
I was about to say that. Yeah, best backup.
As far as stealing jobs, we have Jonathan in here saying that the New England Patriots will still be there at the end to beat out Josh Allen. I 1,000% agree. They have not yet had to play, and everyone's going to learn once they see what Cam does to Kansas City's defense. So we will see that. Damon Scott out here with us saying that there's one of the dirtiest tackles he's seen the Cowboys on Carson. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you got a chance to look at that or not, Josh, but you got Carson in the middle of a pile and his leg actually being twisted off. I believe, we're going to get into it a little bit as far as the NFL news goes, but I believe it's looking like a knee sprain or an MCL sprain of some sort. I don't think that they've actually said too much, but we will get into that in a little bit. But as far as the Bears are concerned, I've never been high on Trubisky, but even less so now, obviously with Foles being benched. So, to me, he's by far the biggest loser of the week. Well, second biggest. Who'd you have as your next winner there?
All right. I had the 2018 MVP, Patrick Mahomes, 49 points, 385 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. He is trying to reclaim his throne as MVP, as he showed clearly on Monday night going up against 2019's MVP, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. To me, this is a strange one because I know that Kansas City has an okay defense. I wouldn't say that they're too great, but I think it was just came down to game planning and coaching, less so on Lamar's side of the actual play. I know that our stat guy is sitting out there with Lamar on his bench, or played Lamar rather, and did fare so well, ending in a tie this week, which will be highlighted tomorrow on the flagship program. The Fanatically Real broadcast. Check them out. Check myself out with Brian over there. We will get into that game, I know for sure. But as far as Lamar goes, like I said, I don't think it's much to worry about. I don't think it's anything. I think it's just all about the coaching and game planning. I think Andy Reid had his number and has had his number. I believe they are 4-1. The Chiefs are, or no, sorry. Lamar has 4 losses in his career. 3 of them are against the Chiefs.
It's his kryptonite.
So, and that was his exact words. He came out and said that Andy Reid just happens to have his number. And I agree with Damian right there. The Bears going back to Trubisky, that they are one of the worst 3-0 teams. I believe that the worst 2 that I've seen are actually playing on Monday night, I believe it is, or have the possibility of getting moved to Monday night. which I know we'll get into in a little bit. But for myself, I know last week I had him as a winner. This week he is a loser in my book. That's Leonard Fournette with 3.7 yards. And just like I said last week, guys, this is a situation to keep an eye on. This is going to flip back and forth every single week, I believe. And Ronald Jones stealing carries and targets from Fournette. I feel I fall fatal to it just as much as the next guy. I have him in two of my 5 leagues. And it's one of those things where if you don't start him, then he's going to go off. If you do start him, it's going to be a situation right there as falls fatal to the running back by committee. So definitely something to watch matchup wise. Going to be tough to predict week in, week out.
All right, so on to my number 2, second on the list loser. I'm going with the man that Patrick Mahomes put in his seat. I'm going with Lamar Jackson. He let me down on probably 2 of my teams this week. Didn't even surpass 100 passing yards, only came out with 97 yards, 1 touchdown, had a fumble, and 83 rushing yards. And at the end of it all, he only got 13 points.
Yeah. Like I said, between the 2 of them, Mahomes played absolutely out of his mind as far as, the game plan goes. And I think that, again, all out of coaching on both of these, Mahomes and Lamar. I think both of them are right there neck and neck as far as athletic ability and, on-field, playing talent. It all comes down to matchup and the coaching side of things as far as I'm concerned. And, speaking of coaching and, game planning in general, making up for your Saints there, having Thomas out, Alvin Kamara with 41 points this week is my big winner. He's actually one of our top dogs of last week, which we will get into. One of the highest scoring players. I believe he was 3rd overall behind Russell Wilson and Mahomes as far as total points in FSA goes. That's all game planning. I don't think that's something that you're going to watch week in and week out. If you are an owner of Kamara, I think that's just him being able to catch everything underneath that wasn't given to Thomas that's there. So as it goes, as moving into next week, definitely start, being the number 1 there for the Saints and a big target. But week in and week out, I wouldn't expect to see that big of a game from him.
All right. Who do you have as your loser, Kevin?
My 3rd and final loser, I had the man, the myth, the ancient one, Larry Fitz. Only had a half a point this week, which he caught 1 of his 3 targets, only being targeted 3 times, which is beyond me why that happens. When you would think with a guy like DeAndre Hopkins is going to be the double covered guy on the outside, but it ended up being Fitz in this case, Fitzgerald, and it's astonishing to see his numbers having gone up year over year from last year, being that now he should see the second man cornerbacks or the whoever ends up covering him scheme wise, but that was not the case in this week. And I think that it's going to continue to trend that way. I think teams are kind of just leave him out there, know that he's going to be the short target type guy, where you're going to see him catch 1 or 2 here just to keep the offense or keep the defense honest. But I don't think it's going to necessarily be a guy to start week over week. I think you're going to see him starting to trend out. Yeah, like Damian says right there, Isabella stepping up with 2 touchdowns. I think that team is trying to plan to get younger. So you're going to start to see them age out guys on purpose and move to their younger pieces. Who'd you have over there, Josh?
I am stepping away from the main point scorers, the quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, and I'm going with a defense as my third and final winner, and it's going to be Indianapolis's defense. They're scoring 30 points with 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a safety, and only 7 points allowed.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that, obviously is league specific.
Yes, it is.
Not every league across FSA or in general, we actually run a defense. But when you put up something like 40 points, 3 touchdowns, and you actually put on a clinic, it's definitely worth mentioning. It can change games because I believe the average across any team defensively is, between 10 to 15 on a high end, and it doesn't usually win you any games. There's actually a couple defenses, the Saints being one, that had negative points, I believe. That as far as 3 touchdowns and 40 points,
He's got his eyes shut over there.
absolutely crushes the ability.
You get over there, Kevin?
I'm good.
You started to cut out on us for a second.
No, it's just saying that when you have somebody that has negative points defensively, seeing that type of seeing the Colts put up that many is absolutely astonishing, and something to keep a watch for.
And being as Indianapolis's defense is one of my winners, that takes me into my third and final loser, which is the man that they put the clinic on, and that would be Sam Darnold. Surprisingly, with all the interceptions that he threw, still actually came out positive with 7 points, 168 yards, only 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. And I don't know what the answer is for the Jets at this point.
Yeah, for me, when I go out and I look at it, it's the same tale as last season, and that brings me right into one of the biggest points is having the Jets. Although we have a couple of fans in here, I don't know how that's even possible at this point. With Gase as your coach, Darnold seeing ghosts for the second season in a row, it just I don't know what they can do there. They bring in continuous pieces, both offensive and defensively. I know that they've struggled with a few injury issues, but not enough to keep doing this poorly and underperforming as far as the coaching staff goes.
Real quick, who were the ones that actually started a petition to have Adam Gase fired? Was it just the fans in general?
Yeah, it was their fans in general. Yeah, their fans actually protested and went out to the they actually went out to the stadium and just had an actual rally to try to get him fired, which unfortunately for them did not work. And I will take him there. He's probably one of my favorite coaches since he plays against New England. So, I love to keep him there. I'll run a petition to keep him in-house by all means necessary.
I'll run a petition for Kevin's sake just to have the NFL force Belichick to go to New York.
He was almost the Jets coach for all of, I believe, 2 days. If our stat guy can correct me, I'm sure that he remembers that very vividly. But yeah, he was supposed to be the next man in charge, and and the staff handed over, and he decided otherwise. And I believe his first year in New England was in '99, when taken over by Kraft. But outside of that, they've been cursed ever since. And speaking of curses and our big losers, Josh, I believe you have something to discuss. What happened, bud?
What am I discussing here?
Well, you being, I had mentioned before that my second biggest loser of the week was Leonard Fournette. My number one of the week happens to be you. Obviously, the under, below average, bro, as far as it goes.
I consider myself a winner in my heart.
In your heart, maybe. But tell us about the bet that you had. Why are you a loser this week?
Well, to everybody else, I'm a loser, apparently, because me and Damien on, what was it, last Wednesday night's show?
Yep.
We made a little friendly bet against Green Bay and New Orleans, and the loser of the bet had to take a pie to the face. And
So, without any further ado, I have the pie.
Hi, this is Josh from the Average Brothers Fantasy Show. Congrats to Damien for his Green Bay Packers beating my Saints, and I hope your victory tastes as good as his pie. Oh my god. Graham cracker. Not all of them, but I was from after. You good. I stand by my comment. That actually was pretty good afterwards. It's really good.
I mean, graham cracker and all seemed like you actually enjoyed that.
Well, I didn't enjoy the aftermath of having to like physically scrub my hair, and before I shaved my beard, there was more here. I had to get all the syrup and everything out of it. And even still, after I took a shower, it wasn't all gone.
And yes, to Brandon's point with the toppings, we are your average bros with above average pies. Anybody that happens to feel like they've got a shot, whether it be on an NFL game or within FSA, feel free to shoot us any of your bets or trades or comments. We want to get everybody involved here. Comment below. We will be reading them off. Merman, if you are out there, that is, time is yours, bud. If you're feeling good about this week's matchup, we will discuss tomorrow night. But with that being said, Josh, from one loser of the week being yourself, into the losers of last week within the news. What do you got for us?
All right. So the list is actually pretty short. If you guys have been watching for the past couple weeks, the list is actually pretty short compared to all the other ones. It's only 4 people today. And starting off with, who do I want to start off with? We'll do Jordan Reed. Has a knee sprain, 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, hopefully Kittle can come back by then, so wouldn't really hurt them. And to be honest, this next guy, Kevin, I have no clue who he is, but I just saw him and thought I'd throw him in there. His name's Jojo Natson. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
That name is not ringing a bell to me.
So basically, he's a Cleveland wide receiver, one of, apparently, from what I just read earlier today, one of 4 active receivers that they have on their roster. And he is going to be out for the season now with a torn ACL.
Yep. Beats me.
And as we were talking about earlier about Seattle's running game, Chris Carson, all they gave out was that it is a minor knee sprain and that he's just questionable as of now. And finishing it off with Younghoe Koo with a groin strain. And all it said is he's going to miss time. And they don't even have a kicker on their practice squad. So I'm interested to see who they try and bring in.
Yeah, as far as kicker goes, I mean, the Patriots ran through it last year, having, I believe, 5 different kickers come through and start games for them. So not something that I'm overly concerned about fantasy-wise for anybody. Although Younghoe was on my team, so
and mine,
I should be worried. But kickers, the average is about 12 throughout the league out of the 32 you can choose from. Nobody really ever carries more than one, so not overly concerned with that one. But as far as guys that you are looking to pick up and add, or start and sit due to those injuries and under and over performance that we had mentioned earlier within the show, who's your guy that you're looking to sit this week?
All right, kicking it off with my first guy to put his booty on the bench is going to be Baker Mayfield. And over top of him, I would say start Ben Roethlisberger. The Titans, due to I don't know how many, but somebody or some people tested positive for COVID-19. So they shut the whole facility down. No staff or players are going to be in the building until Saturday. So pretty much whether they decide to play Sunday or Monday, I just feel they're not going to be as prepared for the game as they usually would be.
Yeah, that's definitely something to keep an eye on as far as where they're going to play, if they're going to play, if they reschedule it. I think it's pretty good onto the NFL that 3 weeks in, and this is your first positive cases that you're coming across or issues that you're running into, as far as it goes. And as Chris Simpson says out on the YouTube side of things, 8 total. He is correct. 3 players and 5 staff members, all confirmed cases. And I don't know if they are confirmed as far as being in contact or what they're ruling as far as popping up on the list. I believe they just said that they had been on the COVID list in general. So they haven't really released too much. I think they're trying to be more skeptical and hide the information close to chest with that.
Yeah.
And for me,
who do you have?
Yeah, for myself, this one's kind of a no-brainer for me. As you guys see, the title of this week's show is the backup plan, and I believe my week's sit guy is just that, going to be a backup before long if they continue down this road, and that's Carson Wentz. 3-0, not looking great, looking actually subpar compared to what he has in the past. It looks like his football IQ is just not there, holding onto the ball too long and taking sacks when as unnecessary as they come, and taking damage. Philadelphia as a whole just making poor play calling as it goes. So not somebody that I would want to lean on as far as fantasy standpoint. And as the weeks go on, and then as the losses pile up, they did take Jalen Hurts in the second round, and they have gotten him in the mix a little bit when Wentz came out for a few plays last week. So that's something to keep an eye on. Not saying that they're going to make the move sooner than later, but just as far as a fantasy perspective goes, is I would not want to put my game on the line with Wentz in the lineup. But for me, the guy that I'm going to start over him is, if I have Justin Herbert, I'm going to go out there and start him everywhere I can. Definitely matchup-wise, I think that, the first week came in, had a phenomenal game. I think, no one could really game plan for him starting, obviously, because they didn't know that Tyrod was going to miss the game. But I think that works both ways. I think heading into this second week, they didn't really know too much about what him and the first team offense could do together. So I look to see him improve week over week.
There you go.
Words out there. So if you're a Herbert owner, especially in the Superflex leagues across FSA, he is definitely one of the guys that I look to start.
I'm just gonna let you keep on your little roll there. Who do you have as your second? Jeez.
So
I'm not saying anything.
So as my second sit of the week, and like I mentioned earlier, we want to definitely be active here as far as getting our comments, getting your thoughts, who you guys would start and sit, any guys that you would add or drop. I know that this one may be a little toss-up as far as the outsider's perspective. But for me, I'm going to sit Devontae Freeman from the Giants. As I mentioned, nothing good happens in New York outside of Josh Allen and the Bills. Do only had a few points. I know on a short week coming into town with Saquon getting hurt, still trying to learn the playbook. But I don't believe that offense has anything to offer in the first place. So I don't think that they're gonna, anything's gonna come of it. Few points here or there, few touches to try to get something started, but nothing is gonna happen whatsoever as far as an outbreak week for him. I feel anyway. On the flip side of things, a running back that is taking off and gaining momentum and looking at the share of touches is Darrell Henderson from the Rams. Definitely got to look at as far as gaining speed, as far as splitting out of the running back or out of a committee style running back room. Having 2 weeks back to back, improving week over week. Having 21 points last week, having 23 this week, and looking to improve as far as the load goes each week. And as Damien mentions here, I want to bring this up, is the Giants also signed Alfred Morris this week. I did not see that. But yeah,
I actually didn't see it either.
The Giants also have Lewis as well, Dion Lewis, who gets the shares definitely in the pass game for them. So they're definitely going committee there. So all the way around, not anything to look at. Henderson 20 carries, Brown 7. So yeah, definitely a big difference compared to last week, where he also led in carries between the two of them, but that is just growing week over week as far as that's concerned.
All right, I'm going to take the floor from you, Kevin. Finish off my sit and start, or start sit, whichever one you want to call it first. But I'm saying to sit Nick Foles, mainly just because I know he's not a Sam Darnold, but I mean, you see who he's going up against this week. They're going up against Indianapolis. Their defense is on a roll right now, from what I believe. And I'm saying start, my man. I love him, Joe Burrow. I don't know why I love him, though. I don't know.
It's the hair. You guys get the same.
He does have nice hair. No, his hair.
The same hair and punchable faces.
His hair is nicer. I'll just put it out there. Can't beat a number one overall haircut.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree on Burrow. I'm not necessarily one that's going to say to start him, maybe at the super flex spot if I've got somebody else, but not as my number one, definitely. But I do agree with you with Foles. I don't think it's anything to jump at. Although he had a decent second half of the game, it was in a weak matchup. They should have won that game regardless. I think moving forward, he already lost his job once to Minshew and the mustache. I feel like, one underperforming game, this could flip right back to Trubisky and have him carry out the rest of the season. This isn't really anything to jump on watching the changeover. Just be weary of the 3 touchdowns.
Calling it, Joe Burrow gets his first win this week.
I mean, somebody's got to win in that matchup. So, I mean, he didn't win. He didn't get the win out of the unbeatables last week, tying with the Eagles. So I doubt he'll do it again this week.
Well, then he didn't lose either. That's a positive there.
I would say nothing positive came out of that game. The only positive I see across this week is my ad for the week in Carlos Hyde. I think with Carson going down, I know it's a little bit early as far as injury goes. They haven't been real definitive on if he's going to miss any time or not. I would still add the handcuff in Carlos Hyde as far as splitting some carries or being the lead back in general. Did well filling in once Carson exited the game. Especially if you're a little bit weaker at the running back position, which I believe most teams are. Seeing CMC, Barkley all go down, Mixon underperforming, Chubb and Hunt going back and forth. Everyone's kind of really hurting at the running back position as a whole as far as performance goes. So Carlos Hyde is a guy that I look to add this week.
Yeah, and I'm going to follow your trend here with going for a running back. We were talking about him earlier. I'm going with Darrell Henderson. Just like pretty much what we've been saying before is over the past 2 weeks, he's been getting more of the workload and especially showing it with this past week. He's putting up the numbers that the Rams want to see. So I think that from here on out, he could be leaned more towards as the top running back.
Yeah, like I said, when we mentioned I had him as my start for the week. So I think you're spot on. I think he becomes the lead back there. I wouldn't go as far as being a top back within the league just because there's such talent there that's going to take a few weeks for me to buy into that.
No, yeah, I didn't say he was going to be a top back.
I know that. I'm just saying.
Okay.
If you're looking for Darrell to save your season, I don't think it's necessarily going to be him. It's not going to be a Kamara performance or close to those, but averaging 20 across the past 2 weeks, I think that's definitely something to do. And as Damian says, he should be owned in every league. If not, drop all your fab on him. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say all of it. Mainly because he is on the Rams and they have done running backs wrong in the past. So it's something that I would look to jump on as far as, week in, week out matchup basis. But I'm not too sold yet as far as being, outside of that, the lead back that you think he may be. In week 2, the carry difference between the two is just 1. Yeah, so like we said, the Rams are definitely favoring him as far as seeing improvement, through practice and getting more and more involved with the offense and becoming the lead back. So, I think he's right there as far as being a top guy this week. And no, Damian, not all of the fab.
Kevin, don't go against Damian. You'll end up getting a pie to the face.
No, that's you.
I'm backing Damian this week. I'm backing. Drop all your fab.
I don't have to do anything with Damian outside of beat him, which I've already done. So I'll look to do so again once he drops all that fab when I play him in Delta. I'm not sure when we do that, but yeah, not all of the fab.
All of it.
Not all of it.
All of it.
Speaking of top guys, I know I mentioned them once already. Our top dogs for last week, and just want to remind everybody how this section of the show works. Each week we are going to pick 2 players, a quarterback and then a flex. Flex being everything that is not a quarterback, and picking who we believe is going to be the top dog within each week over week. If my selection score outperforms Josh's, then I get 1 point. If I do select the top dog, I get a bonus point and go ahead and take 2 points for the week across each. Right now, we are sitting at 1 point apiece. Last week, just to remind everybody that didn't catch the show, Josh took Kyler Murray, who had 26.6 points, as his flex was Nick Chubb with 26 points even. Myself had Russell Wilson with 43.3 points. Only second to the top dog, Patrick Mahomes at 49 points. And then my flex being Hopkins with 22.7 points. So week 2 wraps up a point apiece. With that being said, who do you got this week, Josh, as your top dogs?
As my top dogs, I feel like I should let you go first.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious for me. I'm not wearing this for no reason. My top dog is going to be Brady this week. I think that he's got a very favorable matchup going into this week. I think that him and his receivers are seeing that connection build up more and more each week as they head into the thick of things. And I think this week Brady, steps out and shines. Had 3 touchdowns last week, no interceptions. I believe he puts up a similar performance, high numbers this week, ahead of his game. For me, I'm taking TB12.
Who do you have at the flex position to go alongside him?
At the flex, I have right now your rushing leader in yards, I believe, is Derrick Henry. Each week, started off a little bit slower week 1, but as we get into picking up the pace here, he's the standout for Tennessee once again, especially with AJ Brown going down with an injury. Damian brings up a good point here. He's taking Aaron Rodgers versus the Falcons on Monday night. Not only can the Falcons not keep a lead, but they have given up big leads in primetime spots as well. TB12 knows all about that, though. So,
all right, I'm gonna stray away from this TB12.
So Henry has 16 more yards than Aaron Jones.
Mm-hmm.
The better of the 2 Aarons, I believe, out of Green Bay. So something to keep an eye on as they battle for that top spot.
Real quick, I want to ask you, did you notice that Josh Allen got overtaken on passing yards? Speaking of leaders.
I believe it is Russell Wilson is ahead of him. Who's number 1?
Dak Prescott. Well, so, yeah, top 5, it's Dak. What?
I said playing from behind all the time.
Yeah, well, yeah, top 5 is Dak, Josh Allen, Matt Ryan in 3rd, Russell Wilson, and then Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, just to hit on this real quick, Damian says, I do know that Henry plays the brutal Steelers defense. That would be correct if the Steelers could practice, which they cannot do currently within their facility with the COVID shutdown. So, and that game might be pushed to Monday. As I mentioned earlier in the show, one of the teams to watch as far as if that game happens or where it gets moved or when it gets played. But I have no problems with Henry. I think he eats that defense up. I think that the Steelers have played bad teams in general. I think that they are suspect at 3-0, playing teams. I believe their record is 0-9 in the teams that have played against them. So I have no problems with that.
And moving on to my top dogs, I didn't even have them anywhere, so I'm just picking them out of the air right now. So I'm going to take your top dog for last week as mine. I am going with Russell Wilson. I think last week was, all I needed to see to trust that he is front runner for MVP this year. And going up against Miami, I mean, couldn't ask for a better matchup for him, I guess.
I mean, I hope he gets at least one pick. One MVP vote, but I don't think he will be the MVP, unfortunately. I think that Josh Allen is going to actually take it as far as overall goes. Russell Wilson may have the passing touchdowns and he may have the yards on Wilson, but as far as it goes, in the length of the season anyway, I think that you pair that with Josh Allen's rushing ability and what he's done on the ground. And we've seen it the past 2 years, your MVPs being Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Miller. I don't think
Lamar Jackson.
I think the trend continues with another rushing quarterback in Josh Allen.
Well, I mean, you act like Wilson can't run. He can run.
I mean, he can run, but he chooses not to and throws to DK Metcalf. I mean, why would he have to run?
I can
that big of a monster downfield.
Well, can I ask our stat guy to find the rushing yards between Wilson and Allen?
I don't even think it's close.
Well, I'm interested to see. See, coming up, he's right on it.
And So Damien says that the Titans' opponents are 1-8 combined on the year. The Steelers' opponents are, I believe, are 0-9, so not much of a difference. And yes, we're talking about practice. If you can't game plan for the next coming of, an absolute train.
What do they
I
say,
don't
Kevin?
quite
Practice
get it.
how you play. Say practice how you play.
Exactly.
There you go.
So
Well, while we're waiting for, go ahead, Kevin.
yeah, no, I was going to say, moving on from Russell Wilson and his lackluster rushing yards, who do you have at the flex position?
Oh my goodness. In the flex position. Oh, in the flex position. Sorry, it took me a second. Like I said, I'm pulling this out of the air here. I am. Oh, okay. So I'm assuming.
Yeah, so I believe that is 90 to 84. Josh Allen, I believe. Chris can comment to correct if I'm wrong there.
So Allen has 90 and then Wilson has 84.
Yeah, I believe that's what that is. Chris, if you want to comment and to verify that. Yeah, I believe that is correct.
I'm interested here.
Yeah, as we wait on that, who do you have at your flex?
Yes. Let me get into this. I'm going with Zeke. I'm going with Zeke against the Browns.
Yeah.
You're shaking your head here.
No. I mean, to me, it's tough to give anyone on that team a top performance with all the weapons that they have and choose not to use. So they spread it out way too much, and week over week, you're never going to see a top performance, I believe, out of them.
Hey, as long as I can beat your flex, that's all that matters to me. But I want to go over to Chris here because this intrigues me. Wilson has more rushing yards. So
it's by a slim margin, so it's definitely something that tabs on throughout the season.
It is a slim margin. So that means that Allen has passing yards over him. Wilson has rushing yards, and Wilson has passing touchdowns.
We will have to wait for our stat guy to confirm all of those. What is this? I have no idea what that was. I believe what this. Okay, so we'll wait for our stat guy to get back to us as far as the comparison between the two. Regardless, I'm sticking with my guns and saying your front runner will be Josh Allen as far as the MVP.
So I didn't say that Wilson was going to win MVP. I just said that as of right now, going into week 4, he was front runner to get MVP. I mean, this is who I want to be MVP. Is it going to happen? Who knows?
I don't think so.
We can all have dreams here. We can all have dreams here.
So Josh Allen has 2 rushing touchdowns. Russell Wilson has 0, I believe. Russell Wilson has 90 rushing yards, and Josh Allen has 84. And passing touchdowns, Wilson has 4, Allen has 10. So
pretty much Allen has the 2 rushing touchdowns over Wilson, but Wilson makes up for it with the passing touchdowns.
But Josh Allen has more passing yards.
Yes, he does.
So
he does.
I would say they're pretty split even. Across the two, splitting 1 apiece as far as touchdowns and yards go. So definitely something to keep an eye on. As we go throughout the season here. Let us know if you guys have any other top dogs that we did not mention outside of Brady, Henry, Wilson, and Dak on the top dog side of things. Anyone else that you're keeping your eye on this week?
I didn't take Dak.
Sorry, Zeke.
I was going to say, I can take 2 quarterbacks?
No. Anyone else that you're keeping your eye out on this week?
Well, I mean, my team for sure. They can actually learn to play.
Now, I believe has there been any update on Michael Thomas at all, or is he still week to week?
Last I saw, he still. This was like last week. By the end of like last week, he still wasn't practicing. But as of right now, I haven't seen any updates on him.
Yeah, so top two rushing quarterbacks at the moment: Kyler at 187 and 4 rushing touchdowns. Cam with 149 and 4 rushing touchdowns. That's the other guy I was going to mention to bring up here to keep an eye out as Cam, playing a formidable defense in the Chiefs this week. I wanted to keep an eye on how that goes as far as the Chiefs being able to stop Lamar and keep him under check. I want to see if they do the same to Cam. Obviously, Cam having less weapons in the passing game to kind of open things up. Really no standout studs there. Outside of the mix of Rex Burkhead in the rush game this week, nothing has changed. Got the W, but nothing
Now, let me ask you. I've been watching football for probably half my life. There is a comeback player of the year award, correct?
Yes, there is.
And you certainly believe with me that it's going to Cam.
I would say at this point, I mean, it's got to be. There's no one else out there that has come back from missing that much time and performing as well as he has, especially against adversity with switching teams.
Well, yeah, the switching teams. I mean, there is Roethlisberger, because I know he was out for just about the same amount of time as Cam, and I would be the one to know that, being as I had both of them on my team last year.
Chad Pennington, 2-time comeback player of the year, I believe on 2 separate teams. One against Miami, or one with Miami, one with the Jets. Also the only quarterback within the past 20 years to win the division not named Tom Brady up until this year. So
he's a legend.
Fun little stat there.
He's a legend.
Yeah, for me right now, the comeback player's got to be Cam.
Yeah.
Last year, I said the same thing as far as Jimmy G missing so much time and then coming back and getting his team into the position he is. Cam doing just the same this year as far as looking slightly under MVP caliber, but with so many quarterbacks, with the performance that they're putting on this year, it's going to be tough to say one way or the other. It's just going to be whoever can keep up the pace the longest, as far as both the incorporating the run and rushing aspect of the game and putting the ball through the air. So let's see what this says. As of the 27th, Thomas is moving really well, and during the workouts on Friday, he's hoping to play, but not necessarily certain one way or the other. Something to keep an eye out on.
I hope he plays.
I hope he doesn't.
No, don't say that. Get out of here. No. I miss Mikey. No, Mr. 149.
I want to see who's his new shiny toy?
Tre'Quan Smith.
Yeah, Tre'Quan Smith.
He did finally get Emmanuel Sanders into the game or onto the team.
That's a guy, Damien, if you're still out there, I put all my fab on him, especially moving forward once they move past Breeze to try to get more weapons involved, is Tre'Quan Smith.
Don't rush it. Don't rush it.
Fab is Dynasty, so Dynasty is not rushed in general, especially the way you play. But that wraps it up for myself. You have anything else to mention there, Josh?
What do you mean the way I play?
I'm saying your coaching's a little sus, that's all.
I'm not even going to comment on that. I have nothing to add on to this.
Well, before we return back to our regularly scheduled Average Bros Fantasy Show on the 6th of October at 8 o'clock, make sure you check out the flagship program, the Fanatically Real broadcast tomorrow at 8:30, live here on Facebook as well as YouTube now. go out and check out our YouTube channel up and running live. And then after that, we will be hosting our happy hour via Zoom on Sunday, the 4th of October at 8:15, just before the kickoff of 8:20, where we'll be watching the matchup of the Philadelphia Eagles against the 49ers. Any thoughts on that game before I move on? The showdown Sunday night?
I mean, I think it's make or break for Wentz, and I think Nicky Mullins is going to have a field day.
I don't disagree. I think you're going to see much of what you did last week, in regards to coming out of Philadelphia. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching the Average Pros Fantasy Show, sponsored by the Football Darts and the Fantasy Sports Alliance. If you liked our show, please go out, like, share, subscribe to all of our social medias, which you could find below here. And we want to make sure we do go ahead and thank all of our sponsors across FSA. We want to thank QB54, our Arm and Leg League sponsor, Football Darts, our broadcast sponsor, as well as Nature Coast Tailgating, our World Championship sponsor. And then, as always, giving a thank you to Finger Lake Mercantile, Cranky Veteran Candle Company, Southern Siren Sugar Scrub, Deep South Creations, and of course the Recast, who is the official music of FSA. Guys, I do thank you for checking out me and my average bro.
Above average.